It is a beautiful spring evening. The sun is setting. It feels amazing. So I'm coming out here to do a few quick garden chores after dinner. So threw our potato peels in the compost, give them some good old nutrients, and I have bought more starts, if you can believe it or not, plus some very beautiful dahlia bulbs to get planted today. So my husband sure does know how to speak to my love language, because there are already some strawberries, like little green ones, popping up in this green stalk with our strawberry plants in it. And we both got so excited, and he told me to go buy more strawberry starts. And I was like, you don't have to tell me twice. So I went and bought 18 more strawberry plants, and we decided we're gonna fill up this entire green stalk full of strawberries. We were originally gonna do some strawberries and the rest herbs, but I can find another spot for my herbs because I want this thing to just be loaded with fruit this summer. Okay, loaded with strawberries and then one random kale. But as you can see, there's already a bunch of little berries coming out on these, like all over the place. Okay, it's the next morning. If you couldn't tell with my wild wet hair, I went to sleep with wet and did this. But yeah, we ended up having to cut things a little short last night because my husband came out with our like dessert for after dinner, which is just dates and cheese. It's like our favorite thing to eat. And dates are really great for this stage of pregnancy. So let's pick back up where we started. I've got my coffee, my water, and my bulb digging tool. It really just feels so great out here. I'm actually loving that I can wear my husband's sweatshirt right now and just kind of stay cozy. But I got a few more tools to grab out of our little old shed, and then I have something to share with you that I wanted to make sure I didn't forget to share that I wanted to talk about last night. Okay, so all of these little cups that my strawberries came in that we planted last night, you get these with any type of start. So like anything that you would buy to plant that's already been started at a nursery in your garden. Always save these. That is my tip, because you're gonna come to a time where maybe you want to starting your own seeds, or starting your own plants from seed, which is what I showed you guys doing a few months ago for our cool weather stuff. And these are the perfect size to plant in with your seeds and come in so handy, because buying these or buying trays like I did from Haas Tools or like other seed starting companies, that can get really expensive and add up quickly. And if you're in a place where, one, you like to just reuse things that you get and not just throw it away, which is really great, just to repurpose, or two, in a place financially to where you can't afford to go buy all these seed starters trays, this is a really great way. So what I would do is just put these in rows down in like what are those things from the grocery store that you like bake in? Like the 10 baking trays. That way they can catch the water, you can bottom water your plants. But this is just a way to get more of a bang for your buck from buying starts. Is I got all of these starts, but also now I have all of these little cups that I will plant in next year, more starts. Also, these little markers they sometimes put them in there, but from where I buy mine, I especially like that they do them this way instead of like the really small ones with like the pictures on it, because they are written like on the front saying, you know, June bearing strawberries, but the back is plain. So I will save these two and then write on the back what I'm growing next year and put those back down into the seed starting trays. So basically, none of this is getting thrown away. I am gonna reuse it all next year, and I know I will, because I never have enough seed starting trays. Like, this gets me so excited for next year, because look at how many extra little pods I have to start plants in. That is so much for free. Okay, on my list of things to do today is to get all these dahlias planted into 2 rows across the front of these garden beds. I tried to grow dahlias, or I discovered dahlias as a flower last year from this account that I follow, and she lives in New Zealand, and she grows cut flower dahlias. And I was like, this is the most beautiful flower I've ever seen, and she does such a fantastic job at it. They were incredibly beautiful, and I wanted to grow them. So I tried to grow them last year on our patio garden at our apartment, but I came to 2 things that stopped us from being able to do that. 1, a squirrel kept coming and eating what was growing from the dahlia bulb, which was incredibly frustrating. So that left 1 growing, and our patio was completely boarded in by a brick wall. So like it would still get sun and everything, but it's probably about a 4-foot, 3.5-foot tall brick wall, and it completely blocked any type of like air flow. So the dahlias were not getting airflow to strengthen their base. So I was having to like stake this 1 dahlia up and like help it stand up, and it naturally should not do that. So I'm really looking forward to growing these in a much better area and space this year. I just went to our local nursery. There's only one place around here that has dahlia bulbs in store. And so I went and grabbed what they had. They had very few left over, but I liked a lot of what they did have left over. So I got this like beautiful, just bright red, traditional dahlia. Gorgeous. And then this like fiery orange one. They all get planted the same. They're all going to be growing midsummer through fall. It's just different varieties of dahlias. this like tiger stripe pink and like light pink one, and then another kind of tiger striped, more traditional like shape of dahlia. So these are the 4 that I have. Each bag has 2 dahlia bulbs in them, and so I have 2 like 6.5 foot rows that I'm gonna plant 1 of each in. I think the spacing should work between them in order to do that, since I'll be only planting 4 and 6 feet. Might be a little close together, but it's what I have to work with, and it's what we're gonna do. So in gardening, I'm still a new gardener, but I really got interested first in growing vegetables, and like the traditional garden stuff. But I've also started to really like growing flowers. And I've been trying to pick a lot of more medicinal flowers that I can grow and then keep for medicinal purposes. But 2, I'm really starting to enjoy bringing just beauty to the garden that draws you out there, makes you want to stay and just hang out and appreciate like what God has created and how amazing it is, and beautiful to look at that and think of that when you see these blooms opening up for the first time. Okay, so I've got them spaced out, you can kind of see. One of them, so it said they each came with 2, but one only came with 1, which is really annoying, especially if you are a person who likes things to be equal. So don't know what I'm gonna do about that, but I'm definitely gonna go ahead and get these planted today. Wow. My main sure is on doing its thing today. So I just call this like my bulb digger. I found this at Goodwill. It's just an old little garden tool, but it's really useful because it'll just create a really deep hole for you, and you basically just punch it in, wiggle it, and like pull it back out, and there's a nice hole ready. So it's a really great tool. I know you can find these in the store. So I need to double check on what it said of how deep to plant these, but I've gone ahead and spaced them out. Okay, so it says to do them 4 to 6 inches deep, and this does count inches on the side, and right here it says 3. So if I do the full thing, that should be 4. So I'm just gonna do them all 4 inches deep. Okay, last thing for today, just today, so I need to plant this thyme. I use a lot of thyme when I'm cooking, I've noticed. So I've talked about I was growing a lot of herbs for us to try to store on our own, and my thyme start was doing really well. Wow, I wish you guys could smell how fragrant this is. It smells so good. Oh my gosh. Lost my train of thought. Oh, so I was growing all my herbs from seed, and my thyme start was doing really well. and then one of the trays they were sitting in, I didn't have a bottom tray under it to make sure there was water staying in it, and it dried out. And thyme is one of those plants that if it dries out while you're like its little baby, it's dead. So there is no coming back from it, and I didn't have time to restart it. So I bought one from our local nursery. It was just $1. So I'm gonna get it planted in this pot today. Wow, and go ahead and get it out in the garden. This is French thyme, so it's a perennial. It will, in our climate, it will actually survive through the winter. But if not, if it does get like burnt out by a freeze, it will come back, which is really great. So I'm just gonna add some potting topsoil mix to this and then pop her on down in there. Just so cute. So I could have planted this in the garden and it would have been totally fine, but thyme can be intrusive and I don't have a space for it right now. So it will do perfect in this pot. And again, save your little cup that it came in. Okay, so I'm gonna give the garden a nice little spray down. It keeps saying we're gonna get rain here, and then we don't, which is actually surprising for the spring. So it needs to be watered, and then I'm gonna take you all to the front porch and show you guys what we've got going on there. Watering is the most annoying garden chore, and when you're doing it with a hose, and I'm sure a lot of you gardeners can relate with me on that. 'Cause, like, it doesn't matter if it's 5 feet or 30 feet away, it's annoying to drag this out every time. In just a few months, this whole space is just going to have so much life in it. All these trellises will be covered. The garlic and onions will be like up to my waist, and so much more will be planted. I'm so excited. I took you guys along on the journey of starting my cool weather crops from seeds, but I did not bring you guys along when I started my warmer weather crop seeds. So I have quite a shock for you. I'm gonna show you my tomato and herb and pepper starts that are ginormous, and I am already in the process of starting to harden them off. So they're sitting outside on this front porch, trying to get some sun, get used to the wind, and get used to the temperature outside. This is such an important step to do. If you start your plants from seeds, do not, no matter how big they are and how tempting it is, do not just take them from inside your house or inside your garage straight outside and plant them in your garden. They will not do okay, and it will be so sad to see all your hard work gone in just like a few nights. So this process takes about a week, and basically you are taking your starts outside, starting at an hour and increasing on time every day for about a week until they're getting a full day out before planting them in the ground. So that's to help them transition over from indoor weather to outdoor weather easily and not have shock. So here are all of my tomato starts. I planted 3 in each cell, and as you can see, some are laying over. It's just because the wind is strong and they're not used to it. But I decided to leave some with 2 in them in case I wanted to plant more in other spaces or give them to people, and they seem to be doing just fine. Like, look how big this one is. It's massive. It's crazy. So they're doing really well. I have Jet Star variety, Baker Creek Black Cherry, and a Money Maker variety. So these are all indeterminate, which means they grow very, very tall and as tall as they want. So these will have to have some sort of trellis near them, which is what those pallets were for if you saw them. Just something to tie them up as they get taller. I don't like using tomato cages because these will get so much taller than tomato cages. Back in this little one, I have my yarrow that's growing, that's doing really well. So this is a really pretty small white flower. It will just have bunches of flowers on it, and it is great for medicinal purposes. So I grabbed these seeds from Baker Creek when I was up in Connecticut, like I showed you guys, and I got to go to a place that carried all their seeds. So this is doing really well. I think there's a few plants in here. So once I go to plant them, I won't leave it all together. I will space them out appropriately. And then this is our tray that has all of our herbs in it. So all of these right here are holy basil. I am really looking forward to growing that this year. Again, it's just another variety of basil. It has a little bit of a different flavor, but it is great for medicinal purposes as well. Right here we have a really large dill that desperately needs to go in the ground soon because this is too small for it, but I don't feel like transplanting it over, and it's still doing just fine being in there, but it needs to get in the ground soon. And then we have some little scallion onion sets. So some of these are still really small, so they may or may not make it when transplanting, even though I'm hardening them off, but we'll just see. And then we have some rosemary. Those are doing good. And then back here is our oreganos. And we have some sage. It needs to be watered. It's dried. You can see that its little leaves are sad. And then that was our thyme. These are actually not herbs. These are our peppers. So our pepper starts are still really small. This one's getting bigger, which is nice to see. Peppers just take so long to germinate and grow that I'm hoping by the end of this week they'll be big enough to where they can handle outdoor temperatures. But I may wait longer to plant those until, like, I will probably plant these a few weeks after I plant our tomatoes, because peppers are very sensitive to heat and cold temperatures. And then, so we have bell peppers and Anaheim peppers. And then all of these are basils. We have some little spearmint growing. And then these are echinacea flowers. So as you can see, we still have so much growing that has to go outside. And our last frost date is April 24th. I am due April 30th. So my little spring baby wanted to show up right around the time where everything is happening in the garden, and I just love that because she's gonna grow up in this garden with me. So my goal is to plant these and really pay attention to our 10-day forecast, and to plant the majority of these outside before the last frost date, because that 24th is just cutting it a little too close and I may not be able to move enough to get out there. So peppers will stay in. I won't plant those till well after our last frost date, but all of these guys, some of the herbs that are ready to go out, those will be transplanted out probably in the next week to 10 days, which is really exciting. Thank you for hanging out with me today, guys, in our little garden expeditions. We have a few more that we'll be able to do until the little baby is here, and I can't wait to just keep being able to hang out in the garden with you guys while I can. And there will be a little break once she's here, but then we'll be right back to it.